Hello, today we will discuss Chapter 6, the Harappan Civilization. Chapter 6, the Harappan Civilization. Geographical extent. The Indus or the Harappan culture is older than the Chalcolithic cultures, which have been treated earlier, but it is far more developed than these cultures. It arose in the northwestern part of the Indian subcontinent. It is called Harappan because this civilization was discovered first in 1921 at the modern site of Harappa, situated in the province of Western Punjab, West Punjab in Pakistan. Okay, figure 6.1 shows that Kali Bangan, a general view showing excavated trenches. Okay. The Harappan culture covered parts of Punjab, Sindh, Baluchistan, Gujarat, Rajasthan, and the fringes of the western Uttar Pradesh. It extended from Jammu in the north to the Narmada estuary in the south, and from the Makran coast of the Baluchistan in the west to Meerut in the northeast. The area formed a triangle and accounted for about 12 lakh 99,600 square kilometers, which is larger than Pakistan and certainly bigger than ancient Egypt and Mesopotamia. No other cultural zone in the third and second millennia BC in the world was as large as the Harappan zone. Although over 250 Harappan sites are known, only 6 can be regarded as cities. Of these, two most important cities were Harappa in Punjab and Mohenjo-daro in Sindh, both forming parts of Pakistan. Situated at a distance of 483 kilometers, they were linked together by the Indus. A third city lay at Chanhodaro, about 130 kilometers south of the Mohenjo-daro in Sindh, and a fourth at Lothal in Gujarat at the head of the Gulf of Cambay. A fifth city lay at Kalibangan in northern Rajasthan. A sixth called Banwali, is situated in the Hisar district of in Haryana. It saw two cultural phases, pre-Harappan and Harappan, similar to that of Kalibangan. To the Harappan period belong the remains of mud brick platforms and streets and drains. The Harappan culture is noticeable in its nature and flourishing stage at all these 6 places. It is also found in its mature phase in the coastal cities of Sutka, Jandor, and Surkotada, each one of which is marked by a citadel. The later Harappan phase is found in Rangpur and Rangpur and Rojdi in the Kathiawar Peninsula in Gujarat. Town planning and structures. Okay, 6.2 figure shows that Harappa, the plan of city. Okay, the citadel Harappa, cemetery. Here you can see cemetery. Then western gateways and terraces, new corner tower, then worksman quarters, then granaries. Here old riverbed. Okay. Town planning and structures. The Harappan culture was distinguished by its system of town planning. Harappa and Mohenjo-daro each had its own citadel or acropolis, which was possibly occupied by members of the ruling class. Below the citadel in each city lay a lower town containing brick houses which were inhabited by the common people. The remarkable thing about the arrangement of the houses in the cities is that they followed the grid system. Okay, this is true of almost all Indus settlements, regardless of size. Roads cut across one another almost at right angles, and the city was divided into so many blocks. Okay, figure 6, Harappan culture. Okay, here you can see the extent of the Harappan culture in India. Okay, it is not that much clear, so we'll move to the next portion. The most important public place of Mohenjo-daro seems to be the Great Bath. So Great Bath is in Mohenjo-daro, comprising the tank which is situated in the citadel mount. It is an example of beautiful brickwork. It measures 11.88 into 7.01 meters and 243 meters deep. Okay, flights of steps at either end lead to the surface. There are side rooms for changing clothes. The floor of the bath was made of burned bricks. Water was drawn from a large well in an adjacent room, and an outlet from one corner of the bath led to a drain. It is suggested that the Great Bath served ritual bathing, which was so vital to any religious ceremony in India. In Mohenjo-daro, the largest building is a granary, which is 45.71 meters long and 15.23 meters wide. But in the citadel of Harappa, we find as many as 6 granaries. We come across a series of brick platforms, which formed the basis for 2 rows of 6 granaries. Each granary measured 15.23 meters into 6.09 meters and lay within a few meters of the river's bank. The combined floor space of the 12 units would be about 8381025 square meters. Approximately, it had the same area as the Great Granary at Mohenjo-daro. To the south of the granaries at Harappa lay working out floors consisting of the rows of circular brick platforms. These were evidently meant for threshing grain because wheat and barley have been found in the crevices of the floors. At Harappa were also built 2-roomed barracks, which possibly accommodated laborers. At Kalibangan, also, we notice in the southern part brick platforms, which may have been used for granaries. Thus, it would appear that granaries constituted an important part of the Harappan cities. The use of burned bricks in the Harappan cities is remarkable because in the contemporary buildings of Egypt, dried bricks were mainly used. We find the use of baked bricks in the contemporary Mesopotamia, but they were used to a much larger extent in the Harappan cities. Okay, figure 6.4 shows the isometric projection of the granary at Harappa. Okay, and figure 6.3 shows the Great Bath in Mohenjo-daro. Okay. The drainage system of Mohenjo-daro was very impressive. In almost all cities, every big or small house had its own courtyard and bathroom. In Kalibangan, many houses had their wells. Water flowed from the house to the streets, which they had drains. Sometimes these drains were covered with bricks and sometimes with stone slabs. The street drains were equipped with manholes. The remains of streets and drains have also been found at Banvali. Altogether, the drainage system and the quality of the domestic bathrooms and drains are remarkable, and the drainage system of Harappa is almost unique. Perhaps no other civilization gave so much attention to health and cleanliness as the Harappan. Agriculture, comparatively rainless, the Indus region is not so fertile these days. In prosperous villages and towns show that it was fertile in ancient times. At present, it has only a rainfall of about 15 centimeter. In the 4th century BC, one of the historians of Alexander informs us that Sindh was a fertile part of the country. In earlier times, the Indus possessed more natural vegetation, which attracted more rainfall. It supplied timber fuel for baking bricks on a large scale and also for construction. In course of time, natural vegetation was destroyed by the extension of agriculture, large-scale grazing, and supply of fuel. A far more important reason for the fertility of the area seems to have been annual inundation in the Indus River. Walls made of burned bricks raised for protection and show that floods took place annually. The Indus carried far more alluvial soil than the Nile in Egypt and deposited it on the floodplains just as the Nile created Egypt and supported its people. So also the Indus created Sindh and fed its people. See, figure 6.5 shows the covered drain Mohenjo-daro. Okay. The Indus people sowed seeds in the floodplains in November when the flood water receded and reaped their harvest of wheat and barley in April before the advent of the next flood. No hoe or plowshare has been discovered, but the furrows discovered in the pre-Harappan phase at Kalibangan show that the fields were plowed in Rajasthan in the Harappan period. The Harappans probably used the wooden plowshare. We do not know whether the plowshare was drawn by men or oxen. Stone sickles may have been used for the harvesting the crops. Gabbar bunds or nalas enclosed by dams for storing water were a feature in parts of Balochistan and Afghanistan, but channel or canal irrigation seemed to have been absent. Okay. The Harappan villages, mostly situated near the floodplains, produce sufficient food grains not only to feed themselves but also the town people. They must have worked very hard to meet their own requirements as well as those of the artisans, merchants, and others who lived in the city and who were not directly concerned with food producing activities. The Indus people produced wheat, barley, rye, peas, etc. They produced two types of wheat and barley. A good quantity of barley has been discovered at Banwali. In addition to this, they produced sesame and mustard, but the position seems to have been different with the Harappans at Lothal. It seems that as early as 1800 BC, the people of Lothal used rice whose remains have been found. Okay, food grains were stored in huge granaries in both Mohenjo-daro and Harappa, and possibly in Kalibangan. Probably cereals were received as taxes from peasants and stored in granary for the payment of wages. This can be said on the analogy of Mesopotamian cities where wages were paid in barley. The Indus people were the earliest people to produce cotton because cotton was first produced in this area. The Greeks called it Sindon, which is derived from Sindh. Domestication of animals. Although Although the Harappans practiced agriculture, animals were kept on a large scale. Oxen, buffaloes, goats, sheep, and pigs were domesticated. The humped bulls were favored by the Harappans. From the very beginning, dogs were regarded as pets. Cats were also domesticated, and signs of the feet of both dogs and cats have been noticed. They also kept asses and camels, which were possibly used as beasts of burden. Evidence of the horse comes from a superficial level of Mohenjo-daro and from a doubtful terracotta figurine from Lothal. The remains of the horse have been reported from Surkotada, situated on the west of Gujarat, and belong to around 2000 BC. But it is clear that this animal was not in regular use in Harappan times. Elephants were well known to the Harappans, who were also acquainted with the rhinoceros. The contemporary Sumerian cities in Mesopotamia practically produced the same food grains and domesticated the same animals as the Harappans did. But the Harappan people in Gujarat produced rice and domesticated elephants, which was not the case with the people of the Mesopotamian cities. Technology and crafts. The Harappan culture belongs to the Bronze Age. The people of Harappa used many tools and implements of stone, but they were very well acquainted and with the manufacture and the use of bronze. Bronze was made by the smiths by mixing tin with copper. Bronze is equal to tin plus copper. Bronze is equal to tin plus copper. Since none of the two metals was easily available to the Harappans, bronze tools are not prolific in Harappa. The impurities of the ores show that copper was obtained from the K3 copper mines of Rajasthan, although it could also be brought from Balochistan. Tin was possibly brought with difficulty from Afghanistan, although its old workings are stated to have been found in Hassanbag in Bihar. The bronze tools and weapons recovered from the Harappan sites contain a smaller percentage of tin. However, the kit of bronze goods left by Harappans is considerable, which suggests that the bronzesmiths constituted an important group of artisans in the Harappan society. They produced not only images and utensils, but also various tools and weapons such as axes, saws, knives, and spears. Okay, several other important crafts flourished in the Harappan towns. A piece of woven cotton. A piece of woven cotton has been recovered from Mohenjo-daro, and textile impressions found on several objects. Spindle wheels were used for spinning. Weavers wove cloth of wool and cotton. Huge brick structures suggest that bricklaying was an important craft. They also attest the existence of a class of masons. The Harappans also practiced board making, as will be shown later. Seal making and terracotta manufacture were also important crafts. The goldsmiths made jewelry of silver, gold, and precious stones. The first two may have been obtained from Afghanistan, and the last from the South India. The Harappans were also experts in bead making. The potter's wheel was in full use, and the Harappans produced their own characteristic pottery, which was made glossy and shining. Trade. The Harappan cities did not possess the necessary raw material for the commodities they produced. They did not use metallic money. We have no idea about their currency. Most probably, they carried on all exchanges through barter. In return for finished goods and possibly food grains, they procured metals from the neighboring areas by boats and bullock carts. They practiced navigation on the coast of the Arabian Sea. They knew the use of wheel and carts with solid wheels were in use in Harappa. It also appears that the Harappans used some kind of modern ekka. The Harappans had commercial links with the Rajasthan, Afghanistan, and Iran. Their cities also carried on commerce with those in the land of the Tigris and Euphrates. Many Harappan seals have been discovered in Mesopotamia, and it seems that Harappans imitated some cosmetics used by the urban people of Mesopotamia. The Mesopotamian records from about 2350 BC referred to the trade relations with Meluha, which was the ancient name given to the Indus region. The Mesopotamian texts speak of the two intermediate trading stations called Dilmun and Magan. Dilmun and Magan, okay, which lay between Mesopotamia and Meluha. Dilmun can probably be identified with Bahrain on the Persian Gulf. Thousands of graves await excavation in that port city. Political organization. We have no clear idea about the political organization of the Harappans. In sharp contrast to Egypt and Mesopotamia, no temples have been found at any Harappan site. We have no religious structures of any kind except the Great Bath, which may have been used for ablutions. Therefore, it would be wrong to think that priests ruled in Harappa as they did in the cities of lower Mesopotamia. There are some indications of the practice of fire cult at Lothal in Gujarat in the later phase, but no temples were used for the purpose. Perhaps the Harappan rulers were more concerned with the commerce than with conquest, and Harappa was possibly ruled by a class of merchants. Religious practices. Okay, here you can see a 6.6 figure, Mother Goddess, found in Mohenjo-daro. Mother Goddess, Mohenjo-daro, MM. Okay, religious practices. In Harappa, numerous terracotta figurines of women have been found. In one figurine, a plant is shown growing out of the embryo of a woman. Probably the image represents the goddess of earth, and it was intimately connected with the origin and growth of plants. The Harappans therefore looked upon the earth as a fertility goddess and worshipped her in the same manner as the Egyptians worshipped the Nile goddess Isis. But we do not know whether the Harappans were a matriarchal people like the Egyptians. In Egypt, the daughter inherited the throne or property, but we do not know about the nature of inheritance in Harappan society. Some Vedic texts show reverence to the earth goddess, although she is not given any prominence. It took a long time for the worship of supreme goddess to develop in Hinduism. Only from the 6th century AD, various mother goddesses such as Durga, Amba, Kali, Chandi, etc. came to be regarded as goddesses in the Puranas and in the Tantra literature. In course of time, every village came to have its own separate goddess. The male deity in the Indus Valley, the male deity is represented on a seal. Okay, this god has 3 heads, moon heads, and has horns. He is represented in the sitting posture of a yogi, placing one foot on the other. This god is surrounded by an elephant, tiger, rhinoceros, and has a buffalo below his throne. Elephant, tiger, rhinoceros, and buffalo. Ana, Kaduva, rhinoceros, പിന്നെ അതേപോലെ പോത്ത്. Okay, at his feet appeared 2 deer. The seal immediately recalls to our mind the traditional image of Pashupati Mahadeva. The 4 animals surrounding the god look towards the 4 directions of the earth. They may have served as vehicles for gods, because in later Hinduism, every god is supposed to have his own conveyance for his movements. In addition to the use of the image of Shiva, we also come across the prevalence of phallus worship, which became so intimate, so intimately connected with Shiva in later times. Numerous symbols of the phallus and female sex organs made of stone have been found in Harappa. They were possibly meant for worship. The Rigveda speaks of the non-Aryan people who were phallus worshippers. The phallus worship, which started in the days of Ashoka Harappa, came to be recognized as a respectable form of worship in Hindu society. Next is tree and animal worship. The people of the Indus region also worshipped trees. The picture of the god is represented on a seal in the midst of the branches of the people, people, people. This tree continues to be worshipped to this day. Animals were also worshipped in Harappan times, and many of them are represented on seals. The most important of them is humped bull. Even today, when such a bull passes in the market streets, the pious Indians give way to it. Similarly, the animals surrounding Pashupati Mahadeva indicate that these were worshipped. Obviously, the inhabitants of the Indus region worshipped gods in the form of trees, animals, and human beings. But the gods were not placed in temples, a practice which was common in ancient Egypt and Mesopotamia. Nor can we say anything about the religious beliefs of the Harappans without being able to read their scripts. Amulets have been found in large numbers. Probably the Harappans believed that ghosts and evil forces were capable of harming them and therefore used amulets against them. The Atharva Veda, which is considered to be a non-Aryan work, contains many charms and spells and recommends amulets for warding off diseases and evil forces. Figure 6.7 shows seal of Pashupati found at Mohenjo-daro. Okay. The Harappan script. The Harappans invented the art of writing like the people of ancient Mesopotamia. Although the earliest specimen of Harappan script was noticed in 1853 and the complete script discovered in 1923, it has not been deciphered so far. Some try to connect it with the Dravidian or Proto-Dravidian language, others with the Sanskrit language, and still others with the Sumerian language, but none of these readings is satisfactory. As the script has not been deciphered, we cannot judge the Harappan contribution to literature, nor can we say anything about their ideas and beliefs. Unlike the Egyptians and Mesopotamians, the Harappans did not write long inscriptions. Most inscriptions were recorded on seals and contain only a few words. These seals may have been used by property people to mark and identify their private property. Altogether, we have about 250 to 400 pictographs, and in the form of a picture. Each letter stands for some sound, idea, or object. The Harappan script is not alphabetical, but mainly pictographic. Attempts have been made to compare it with the contemporary scripts of Mesopotamia and Egypt, but it is the indigenous product of the Indus region and does not show any connection with the scripts of Western Asia. Okay. Figure 6.8 shows pottery found at Lodal. Figure 6.9 shows a bull seal found at Mohenjo-daro. Okay. Next is weights and measures. The knowledge of script must have helped the recording of private property and the keeping of accounts. The urban people of the Indus region also needed and used weights and measures for trade and other transactions. Numerous articles used for weights have been found. They show that in weighing mostly 16 or its multiples were used. For instance, 16, 64, 160, 320, and 640. Okay, interestingly, the tradition of 16 has continued in India till modern times, and till recently, 16 annas made 1 rupees. The Harappans also knew the art of measurement. We have come across sticks inscribed with measure marks. One of these is made of bronze. Okay, Harappan pottery. The Harappans were great experts in the use of potter's wheel. We come across numerous pots painted in various colors. Harappan pots were generally decorated with the designs of trees and circles. The images of men are also found on some pottery fragments. Seals. The greatest artistic creations of the Harappan culture are the seals. About 2,000 seals have been found, and of these, a great majority carry short inscriptions with pictures of the one-horned bull, the buffalo, the tiger, the rhinoceros, the goat, and elephant, which are the one-horned bull, buffalo, tiger, rhinoceros, goat, and elephant. Okay. See, figure 6.10 shows the seals from Kali Bangan. Okay. Images. The Harappan artisans made beautiful images of metal. A woman dancer made of bronze is the best specimen. Except for a necklace, she is naked. We get a few pieces of Harappan stone sculptures. One steatite statue wears an ornamented robe over the left shoulder and under the right arm, and its short locks at the back of the head are kept tidy by a woven fillet. Terracotta figurines. We get many figurines made of fire baked earthen clay, commonly called terracotta. These were either used as toys or objects of worship. They represent birds, dogs, sheep, cattle, and monkeys. Men and women also find place, and the second outnumber the first. The seeds the seals and images were manufactured with great skills, but the terracotta pieces represent unsophisticated artistic works. The contrast between the two sets indicate the gap between the classes which used them. The first were used by members of the upper classes, and the second by common people. The Harappan culture is poor in artistic works made of stone. We do not come across any massive work of art in stone as we find in the case of sculptures of ancient Egypt and Mesopotamia. Origin, maturity, and end. The Harappan culture existed between 2500 BC and 1750 BC. Its mature phase lay between 2200 BC and 2000 BC, but throughout the period of its existence, it seems to have retained the same kind of tools, weapons, and houses. The whole style of life appears to be uniform. We notice the same town planning, the same seals, the same terracotta works, and the same long church blades. But the view stressing changelessness cannot be pushed too far. We do notice changes in the pottery of Mohenjo-daro over a period of time. Around 1750 BC, the two important cities of the Harappa culture, Harappa and Mohenjo-daro, disappeared. But the Harappan culture at other sites faded out gradually and continued it in its degenerate phase in the outlying fringes in Gujarat, Rajasthan, and western Uttar Pradesh. It is as difficult to explain the origin of the Harappan culture as its end. Several pre-Harappan settlements have been found in Baluchistan and Kalibangan in Rajasthan, but the connection between them and the mature Harappan culture is not clear. Though the Harappan culture may have evolved out of these indigenous settlements, nor do we have a clear proof of outside influence on the Harappan cities. Contact with Mesopotamian cities may have provided some stimulus to the development of the Harappan culture, but there can be no doubt about the Indianness of the Harappan culture. Certain elements distinguish it from the contemporary cultures in Western Asia. It planned its towns with their chessboard system, streets, drainage pipes, and cesspits. On the other hand, the Mesopotamian cities show a haphazard growth. Rectangular houses with brick-lined bathrooms and wells, together with their stairways, are found in all Harappan cities. Such town planning is not to be found in the cities of Western Asia. No other people in antiquity had built such an excellent drainage system, except perhaps those of Crete in Knossos. Nor did the people of Western Asia, show such skill in the use of burned bricks as the Harappans did. The Harappans produced their own characteristic pottery and seals. They later represented the local animal world. Above all, they invented their own typical script, which bears no resemblance to the Egyptian and Mesopotamian scripts. Although the Harappan culture was a Bronze Age culture, they used bronze on a very limited scale and largely continued to use stone implements. Finally, no contemporary culture spread over such a wide area as the Harappan culture did. The structure of the Harappa cover 5 kilometers in circuit, and in that way are the largest of their type in the Bronze Age. No urban complex of the Harappan magnitude has been discovered so far. While the ancient buildings, while the ancient cultures of Mesopotamia continue to exist, when after 1750 BC, the Harappan culture disappeared at about there that time. Okay, various causes have been suggested. Some ascribe it to the decreasing fertility on the account of the increasing salinity of the soil caused by the excretion of caused by the expansion of the neighboring deserts. Other attributes it to a sudden subsidence or uplift of the land which caused floods. And still others point out that the Harappan culture was destroyed by the Aryans. In the later phase of the Harappan culture, some exotic tools and pottery indicate the slow percolation of new peoples in the Indus Basin. A few signs of insecurity and violence appear in the last phase of Mohenjo-daro. Hordes of jewelry were buried at places, and skulls were huddled together at one place. We also notice new type of alvars. We also notice the new types of axes, daggers, knives with mid ribs and flat tanks appear in the upper levels of Mohenjo-daro. Although basically they seem to be Indian, they may betray some foreign influence. Traces of new peoples appear in the cemetery belonging to the late phase of Harappa, were new kinds of pottery. Uh, okay, latest levels. Okay, new types of pottery also occur in some Harappan sites in Balochistan or at several places in Punjab and Haryana. Painted grey ware, generally associated with Vedic people, has been found in conjunction with some late Harappan pottery. All this can be attributed to the barbarian horse riding people who may have come across from Iran through the hills. But the new but the new peoples did not come in such numbers as to completely overwhelm the Harappan cities in Punjab and Sindh. Although the Rigvedic Aryans settled down mostly in the land of the seven rivers in which the Harappan culture once flourished, we have no existence of any mass scale. Although the Rigvedic Aryans settled down mostly in the land of the seven rivers in which the Harappan culture once flourished, we have no evidence of any mass scale confrontation between the Harappans and the Aryans. So by this, we have completed chapter 6. In next video, we will discuss chapter 7, the advent of the Aryans and the age of Rigveda. Okay, thank you for listening me. We'll see you in next class. Thank you very much.